Almost a year ago to the date, we have Mr. David Richter, Love Profit First for Real Estate Investing. He is the owner and author of Profit First for Real Estate Investors and Simple CFO Solutions. It was funny because I just wanted to check the last time that we did an interview talking about this book, which is now launched and has a huge buzz around the real estate investing community. Got to meet David in person last month at the family mastermind, which is awesome. We got to hang out to the table together. So very, very enjoyable experience there. Great to meet you. And looking forward to this book, man, because you could probably argue that this is the most important thing for real estate entrepreneurs to focus on to a certain extent, right?
Oh, I could definitely argue it. That's for sure. As long as I would say that getting the deals in and getting income in is still number one.
Yeah.
Making sure you still have the deal flow, making sure that you're getting the deal flow in. But as soon as you have that money in, this is number one.
Mhm.
What you do with it and being intentional, because people don't lose sleep because they're losing money. They lose sleep because they don't have control. So this puts that control back in their hands. And that's why have gone down this path and been beating this drum for over a year since we've talked, like on our last podcast together.
Absolutely. In a majority of the episodes, you are going to be hearing about people, how they get deals in, marketing, lead generation, a ton of mindset and philosophy all behind that. And then this episode, as David alluded to, is going to be the next important step once you have that all coming in. So for quick backgrounds, could you kind of give an introduction on you, how you got into real estate, what you were
Yeah.
doing prior? I know you have hundreds and hundreds of transactions under your belt and a pretty cool story for those who don't know you.
Yeah. So like most people in real estate, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in college after a friend gave it to me. And that was it. I started real estate investing, did some deals my own right away, and then started working with a real estate investing company. And we took that one from about 5 or 6 deals a month to about 25 or 30 deals a month. That's where I met Dan Schwartz too,
Mm-hmm.
like going to some masterminds, and it was a fun ride doing that. And I got to sit in every single seat during that time too, from acquisitions, dispositions, project management, property management, transaction coordination, the finance seat, like everything. It's kind of the utility man, like go in there, fix a problem, create a process, move on. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of fun because I got to see not only how to do deals, how to acquire them, and how to sell them, like all the nuances of real estate investing, but how a small business runs and a team, and being on the leadership team there, and then making the decisions in the finance seat and making sure that, like we're on track, because it was incredible. We were doing like 25, 30 deals a month, 6, 7 figure months. And as much as was coming out, going in was going right out the door again. And, it's like, I saw that over and over again, going to these masterminds, going to these real estate events. Like we can beat our chest of like, oh yeah, we're doing 25, 30 deals a month. Or like, hey, we hit 7 figures this year. Or, like, hey, we're on track to go to 10 million or 8 figures, or whatever it is. But I like to know, okay, what are you doing? Like, or how much are you keeping? How profitable are you? And that's where I kind of first got that bug, was seeing that company and being like, oh man, we got to do something different here, and making sure that we're actually keeping the money. Then I moved across the country about 5 years into working there, just because at that time I had built a small portfolio myself, had been a part of over 850 deals, and was like, we could live anywhere. So we moved across the country, be closer to family. And that's when I started working with another investor. And right away, first thing I asked him was like, let me see your numbers. Like, open up your books, your QuickBooks, and like, let me see. I want to see if you have a good story to tell, or if like, do I need to go, be worried here or cry in the corner, or like what's going on. So opened it up, and it was like most people that we work with and that we come across, there was no story. There wasn't, like things weren't in the right place. It gave no clear picture of where he really was. I'm like, okay, this is the first thing we need to make sure that we help, like get this in place. So we got those numbers cleaned up, and after those numbers were cleaned up, he had a ton of his money into his own projects and into his own properties. Some of these were going to be wholesale deals, but they ended up being the fix and flip or the rental that you keep. And so he had a ton of his own money into them, and he was able to refinance right away just from knowing his numbers. And went from like 30% loan to value to like 60%. It was able to put several hundred thousand in his pocket. And that was a huge light bulb moment to me, because he came to me afterwards and said, knowing these numbers has transformed my business and my life. that to me was the spark to say, I have to get this message out. I have to make sure people know in the real estate world. So after going to these masterminds, after building a business, after having my own portfolio, I was like, this is too important. And I think the true key to the financial freedom that people are truly seeking for, because you got to have this other piece to it rather than just getting the deals in. You got to be able to keep the money. So that was kind of like my real estate journey. And then what got me on this kick of like, hey, let's make sure you're keeping the money, because you don't know what the market's going to do. You don't know what your personal life is going to do. Like we got to make sure you as a person and as an investor are secure in your business and your finances. So that's kind of what started me in real estate, my journey there, and then to what we're doing now.
Very cool. And yeah, guys, I mean, even when we were at a mastermind event last month in Tampa, I think someone that was just randomly sitting at our table, I won't say names just for his sake, but was one of your clients that had an amazing story working with your company as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we see over and over again. Because the next part of that story goes, I was still working with that guy, but then I was like, I need to start my own company, Simple CFO, to help people on, like to have an advocate. Because like, and this is, I did not want this to be a CPA company or a bookkeeping company. Like I chose the word CFO for a reason, because that is someone to help you from relationally, like to say, how do you think about money? Like, what are the decisions being made? Like, is there anything, do we need to have consistent conversations just to hold accountable to this system that we're going to put in place? So that's why I wanted to create that company. Then also at that same time, I called a mentor and said, hey, got this idea for this company. Like, what do you think? And he said, number one, I think everyone needs this. And number two, I think you should definitely do it, but have you read the book Profit First? And so that was kind of the spark to get me to read Profit First, downloaded the book that night, took 10 pages of notes and said, this is an amazing framework to be able to tell the entrepreneur, the real estate investor, the business owner, how to manage the finances without going crazy, without having to have a CPA or a license or a background in finances or anything. Of like, this is how you can get control over your money, your cash, your business without any of that stuff. So that's why I read that book and have that as part of the implementation of Simple CFO, one of the many things we do. But then that's what also got me, once we were working with that, that client and other clients, I went to Mike McCowitz, the author of Profit First, about 7 months into working with people, and said, hey, this is working. Like, we're implementing Profit First. People are getting control over their finances and they're like seeing these huge turnarounds in their business. Do you think that Profit First for real estate investing would bring value, because there's a lot of nuances to the real estate investing industry? And Mike was like, yeah, I think that would be a huge value add. I love the real estate investing industry, and I think this would be a great thing. So that's kind of what got started the Profit First for real estate investing book, because I knew I can't help every single investor, but this message is too important to, I needed to erase any excuse someone had. You might not be able to, depending if you're just starting out, you might not work with a CFO or even a fractional CFO like we are, which is way cheaper than a full-time CFO, but you can get a $20 book, and get the information. And I didn't hold any punches. Like, this is what we do. This is how we implement it. This is how we think. These are what the practical steps. This is how you can assess your business. Like, if you're just starting out, I encourage you just to get the mindset and get the practical steps, because this was a labor of love. I mean, it took 14 months to get out the door. I mean, like blood, sweat, and tears into a book, because this was the first time writing like something that was 50, 60,000 words. So this was an incredible process, but I just wanted to get the information out there, because it's too important. And you can start from your very next deal. No matter if you've done 0 deals or 1,000 deals, you can start implementing this process.
Amazing, man. And anybody that listens to the show knows I'm going to talk mindset just naturally, but so much of it is mindset. One of my favorite salespeople, guy I met he's in our software mastermind a couple years ago. He gave a presentation on sales, but they interviewed, or they did a questionnaire on their entire company, huge company, portfolios of companies. And the people that were in the top 10% of lowest salary, like in their own personal wealth, they netted and kept more money than the top 10% of people in the company.
Wow.
Which is crazy, because it's all like spending and habits on the personal side is probably pretty similar to the business side, which is just an interesting mindset nugget there, and I'm pretty sure it's applicable. If you want to speak to that at all. And then
Oh yeah.
in addition to that, we also, if you want to touch on that, then I'll kind of keep going here. A lot of stuff to ask you.
Oh yeah. I could go on and on all day. So how long do we have? But mindset, profit first is all about that mindset because we've all heard it. If you're a real estate investor, you've probably either been around Carlos or Dan, or you've read Robert Kiyosaki's books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or the Cash Flow Quadrant, or his other, one of his 50 books that he has out there, or The Richest Man in Babylon. We hear this same message over and over again. Pay yourself first. A portion of all I have is mine to keep. Like you hear these messages over and over again, and Profit First has that same message, but with a formula. It says, everyone hears this formula, and that you hear from entrepreneurs, business owners, accountants. It's sales minus expenses equals profit. I make a sale, I pay everyone else and their mother, and then what's left over is what I have to take home. Hopefully there's something there at the end of the day, the year, the month, quarter, wherever. But the profit first formula is just like what we've heard everywhere else as a real estate investor. Sales minus profit equals expenses, meaning I make a sale, I pay myself first because I'm the business owner, and I make sure the company's healthy. And then what I have left over is expenses. That's what the business has to run on and to grow the business and to make sure that we can keep going. So we've all heard that though. That's what's so frustrating about reading these books sometimes, because it's like, okay, I get the mindset and I have this mindset, but how do you know you have the mindset? It's through your actions. It's through the daily habits that you create. So you have to make profitability a habit in your business. Make profit a habit inside of your business. So how do you do that? If you don't mind, Carlos, I'll just go right into the practical steps because it comes full circle here. Because profit first, the practical steps is you need to set up, if you've heard of the envelope system, or like Dave Ramsey's made that popular, or other people, or if you just heard that before, where you put different things for your personal finances, like different categories, like different spending categories in envelopes. Same thing for business. You open up bank accounts and you name them specific names, and then are allocating certain percentages of your income to those accounts. You're transferring physical cash into those accounts. So what are those accounts? The first one, besides, you already have an OPEX account that pays your expenses. So the 4 other foundational accounts, number 1 is income. That's just a holding bucket. That is all just for your deposits to come into and wait until you tell your money where to go. That is for you to have control over what comes in and telling it where to go out. So that is the first step, having that income bucket. The other 3 I call the golden trio, because I am a huge movie buff nerd, whatever, and I love Harry Potter, Star Wars, these big epic sagas that we've all seen and watched, or at least heard of. If you haven't heard of it, I don't know where you're living, but those always have 3 heroes like Harry, Ron, Hermione, Luke, Han, and Leia. They're always pushing the story forward for good. Your business and your life is an epic saga. You are living your epic saga right now, and you need to treat it as such, meaning you need to have 3 accounts called the golden trio inside of your business for profit. That's the number 1 account. Number 2 is owner's comp, and number 3, owner's tax. Profit is for the risk you took starting the business, the blood, sweat, and tears and time. And it's that return, the return on your business investment for starting the business. Owner's comp is if you're sitting in a seat. If you are sitting in a seat working any part of your business, you need to be compensating yourself on a regular basis. Just like you said, Carlos, so many things stem from our personal lives and from that mindset of and if we're not taken care of, we're living out of fear. So you need to make sure that you are living from your purpose. And a lot of that has to deal with the stress of not paying yourself. Or if you are paying yourself and you have no rhyme or reason to how you're paying yourself and you're worried about you're hurting your company. Then number 3, the owner's income tax. That's the golden trio, that last one, making sure you don't ever have to worry about taxes again, that a portion of all the deals are going into those 3 accounts to make sure you have profit, you have owner's compensation to pay yourself, and the taxes are going to be taken care of for you at the end of the year. Now, that's where you now have those 5 foundational accounts. You've got the OPEX, which you've already, that one's already set up, income to hold it, profit, owner's comp, and then the owner's income tax. The biggest objection I get is, 4 more accounts? Are you kidding me? That's a lot. And I would say, number 1, if that's your mindset, we've already lost, because these accounts are for you. All four of those accounts. Income to give you control. The income account is all about controlling where you're going to push the money to. So now your money's not just going in and out of your one account and you have no idea what's happening. Income is so you can control. And then the other three are to make sure you're not stressed. It's to cover those those three are for your benefit. I call them just the umbrella of the golden trio, those owners' benefit. Those are all for the benefit of the owner, for your profit, for your compensation, and for the taxes. So if you don't want to set them up, it's like, how can I convince you otherwise besides that these are for you? And then I say to people, okay, the overall goal though is the mindset. You need to make profit a habit. So what can you do from this podcast? Set up one bank account. That won't take you as much time. And then transfer 1% of all your income into that one account and call it profit. And there you go. Start getting in the habit of moving your money into a different account that is totally for the profitability of yourself and the business, and to make sure that you are profitable. So that's where now you'll start to see the practical effects of the mindset coming full circle. Of sales minus profit equals expenses, or rich dad, poor dad saying pay yourself first, or richest man in Babylon, saying, a portion of all you have is yours to keep. You're now going to have practical steps to execute what we've been hearing, which ultimately gives you control, less stress. Now you get to make the decisions from a place of power, of saying, I have money in these accounts. I don't have to live deal to deal anymore. I don't have to live in the real estate rat race that I've gotten myself into anymore. I don't have to take every deal that comes across my plate. I can take the best deals and the most profitable and not get myself into these horrible situations. I also have money if there's a downturn or whatever it is. It gives just so much peace of mind that getting those practical steps, and then that helps complete the mindset and come full circle, because now you're in the habit of being profitable. And that's when the mindset really starts to click.
Can you guys hear how passionate David is about this? I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, man.
I'm on fire. I have to get this message out. That's why I said, I couldn't just have the business, which was a huge step of hey, I want to help these owners and let's dive in with them. Let's get a CFO on their team. But I was like, you know what? That's not going to cut it. I got to help way more people and at least give them the chance. Now you have the chance in order to be where you want to be as a business owner, because we all, like you said, Carlos, there's tons of podcasts and things on the marketing, and here's the new lead generation thing, or here's this or whatever. But it's how many times do you hear someone that's as excited as this telling you hey, I love that. Please do that. Please keep the money coming in, but let's make sure your business is actually serving you. You are not Snapchat. You are not Facebook. You are not these companies that can go, venture capital funding, go billions of dollars in debt, until they turn a profit years down the road. This is not you. We're talking about, usually the business is you, especially when you first start. This is your livelihood. This is your income. You need to have that system so you're in control of the finances. I also, just a side note, in the Profit First for real estate investing, I always say, if you are going to be doing anything besides wholesaling, and if you're ever going to take private money from anyone, set up an OPM account, other people's money account, so that way you don't mingle those core accounts, which are for your business to run the actual business. Use a different account to separate out other people's money, so you're taking care of them and you're getting able to see very clearly. It's giving you extreme clarity of what is mine, what is other people's, how much do I have in profit, how much do I have to pay myself, how much does the business have to operate, how much do we have for other people right now for the projects that we have going on. So just another tidbit there that I just want to get all it out on the table. You can still read the book. There's still a lot of good stuff in there, but these are the core concepts that you could take from this podcast and just start implementing it, and you will see a return right away.
Love it. And you kind of have an a la carte option here of either spending $20, investing $20 and getting the book, or working with simple CFO solutions, because we both know a lot of people, including myself, don't get energy, or their skill set isn't necessarily finances or bookkeeping. So for me, the very first thing I would be thinking is trying to delegate or outsource that as simply as possible, because most people just want to focus on the other podcasts, which are talking about what's the newest marketing strategy every quarter, and talking to sellers, talking to buyers, networking. Social media and content is huge these days, whether people want to adjust to it or not. That's just the way of the world, and it's trending in that direction fast. So what does it work? What does it look like, I guess, working with Simple CFO solutions if you're just to bring somebody on?
Sure. So we have a fractional CFO service. So usually when you hear CFO, that's a chief financial officer of a company. They're making $150,000, $250,000 a year just to manage the finances, secure funding, do those types of things to make sure that the business keeps operating and that way the owner doesn't have to worry about the money part. We do that on a fractional scale, meaning that's basically like a part-time CFO on the team, because most businesses we work with are in the 500, they're making about 500,000 in gross profit. So that's like property profit a year, up to 10 million. In that range is who we work with, because a lot of people are too small to have a full-time CFO, but too large not to have someone on the team that they can have a conversation with about the finances. Because a lot of CPAs, it's like, they talk over our heads, they talk down to us, they make us, they have those degrees. And so it's hard for them to come from like the level of 10 education down to like where we are sometimes of like the 3 or 4 or whatnot of just basic finances. So that's where I'm like, you have to have a CFO on the team to at least help you and guide you, make these decisions, hold you accountable to the system, and making sure that you are actually profitable, that you have that profitability. So that's why we charge a fraction of, like it's also fractional in the sense that we don't charge 150, 250,000 a year. It's usually a percent of the gross revenue that people are making, because we want it to be, very fair to them and make sure that, okay, that we have incentive to see them grow too. So we tell people we're not vendors. You're putting like a part-time staff member on your team, a high-level C-suite person, like a CFO level person, to be on your team to help guide you to get the clarity around your finances, just like I did with that first guy that I was talking to you about, like, so that way he knew his books inside and out. It helped him cut expenses. It helped him increase the profitability, helped him get cash in his account right away. So like, how do we get you that financial clarity right away? It's usually the system, people's processes around the finances, making sure you have that. Then number 2 is implementing profit first in the cash flow system, making sure you have your cash down, that you have power now in your hands to direct your money. And that's really the 2 main things we focus on. Then we also do some generational wealth type stuff, like, are you buying rentals, or do you have some type of plan long-term to make sure that you ride off into the sunset and you're not having to work every day of your life for the rest of your life? So those are the types of things that we focus on with people, and then, that we do on a continuous basis.
Love it, man. Yeah, you guys can just take action right from this podcast, not only the mindset, start doing stuff like making the accounts, but then some type of rhythm to like a net worth analysis, how much money you have in each account, things like that. What's a general range of healthy profit margins for a company, for like an investor?
That's a great question. And there is a range. It depends on how much you're making right now. Because if you're on the lower end, the percentages are going to weigh heavily on what you pay yourself, because you might not have a bunch of people on your staff at the very beginning. So you need to make sure you're healthy. Then as your company grows, the percent you pay yourself is smaller, but you're going to be getting a smaller portion of a bigger pie if you do scale and grow. So the percentages when you first start out, like your profit percentage that you put in that account, like shoot for 5%. Like do something very realistic, do something like 5% that you're shooting for that one account. And then as you grow, that account percentage usually gets higher, like 5, 10, 15, 20, until you're just and the profit, that's where most of your money is sitting as the owner, because hopefully you get to where you want to be, like wherever that is, and you can have people doing the work for you or systems doing the work for you. So that way you can just start taking profit draws. But I would shoot for at the beginning. I've memorized the first one from 0 to 250,000. If you're making that 5% to profit, 50% to owner's compensation, then to the tax is 15%. And then your OPEX and your operational expenses should be 30%. So that's but that's the target to shoot for. Because a lot of people come to us and they're like, okay, those percentages sound great and I'd love to be there, but I'm spending money left and right, or, I'm doing 25, 30 deals a month, but like we're not making anything. So where do I start? You start where you are. If you can just get 3 numbers, really it's only 2. What did I make within the last time frame here, 6 months, 12 months, however long you've been in business? If you're more than 12 months, and just do the last 12 months. How much did we make? How much did I keep? So out of what we made, how much did I actually keep for myself, either through taking a profit draw, giving myself a salary, paying for my taxes, like how did I benefit from the business in the last year? Then what's left over was what you had to spend for the year on your expenses. Now you might have spent more than what you had. That's when you know right away, okay, I was using lenders' money, to just fund the operations of the business. So if you can just dial in, where am I right now? How much did I pay myself? If we made 100,000 last year and I paid myself 20,000, and that was the only benefit I got 20%. So 80% to OpEx, 20% to owner's comp is where I am right now. So you might not be able to adjust from 50%, for 20% paying yourself to 50% paying yourself, or like from 80% OpEx down to 30%. Like I get those cuts are huge, but you have to start where you are and then give yourself a target. Those percentages I gave you are targets to shoot for depending on the size of your business. If you pick up profit first for real estate investing and you're at a different level, it gives targets for each level that you attain inside of real estate investing, like those revenue amounts, how much you're actually making. Those percentages change depending on how large your company gets. So, but I just want to stress those numbers in there are targets. So if you're not there now, number one, don't beat yourself up. Nothing ever good comes from that. Number two, give yourself that grace of here's where I am right now. Here's where I'm shooting for. What can I do this quarter? Can I cut some here? And can I add some percentages over here to my profitability? Like, am I able to adjust this? This is why I love this too, because when other people, I'm just going to go on and on. But
no, I love it. I love the passion though. It's like
so many people. Passion. Right? So many people, when they think of finance people, or they always think of cutting expenses. But like with the profit first system, you're cutting like percentage points of OpEx. And guess what? Those percentage points now go to like profit or owner's comp or somewhere else. Like you get to not only cut, but then you get to take over here and make your company healthier, or go to reserves, or whatever it is that you are in the midst of doing with your finances right then. That's why I love this system too, because it's all about driving down the expenses to give you the most bang for your buck from your business. That's why I love this whole mindset, because like I said, so many people think of it just like, oh, they're going to cut expenses. It's going to be uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, let's do this because it adds, every dollar you cut adds directly to your bottom line. That's why most people, we get on these podcasts and like we think of the marketing and it's like, oh, this can add $20,000 a month more in your top line. It's like, that's great. 20,000 and your top line gets eaten up by all the expenses below that top line. If you cut 20,000 of expenses, you just added $20,000 to your bottom line, to what you're actually taking home. So that's why I say, get the marketing, make sure you get what's working, but then work on helping yourself get lean. So that way, I'm running as lean as I can, making as much bottom line profit as I can, because I started my business for some dang reason, whatever that is, vacation with family, financial freedom, being able to go anywhere I want to with whoever I want to, whatever that is for you. You have to have this piece in order to gain that control and that freedom. You have to have control of your business and your finances in order to have the freedom that you want and that you're seeking. So there you go. There's I'll get off my soapbox for now.
No, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it. One thing that I love about it is starting where you're at. And it's a good quote that I heard from another finance guy, Keith Blackboard. I don't know if you know him. He's the man.
Yep.
You know Keith?
I do know Keith. Keith is a good guy. Yeah,
very good dude. But he told me, he's like, it's easier to steer a ship that's already in motion. It's like a lot of the times, like if you're, the daily blizzard of activities, or like, it always seems like you don't have enough time to finish whatever projects you have going on. Just getting started, opening another account. I don't know if you have any preferred banks, anything of that nature for business. I'd love to hear them, but just getting started, it's going to be easier to make moves if you just get yourself in motion, get a little bit of momentum there.
Yes. And that's why I always say, if you can just do one thing, open the one account and transfer 1%. Because like you said, Carlos, people aren't finance. I get that. But we're talking about bank accounts here. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I haven't said anything about QuickBooks, a profit and loss, a balance sheet, like these things that you might hear from a financial advisor or CPA bookkeeper. I want you as the owner to be able to go out and do what you're already doing. You're looking at your bank accounts. You're looking at those already. So open up some, name them profit, name them owner's comp, and like start getting where you are comfortable knowing where your money's going and that you are taken care of, because that unlocks so much of that mindset of, okay, I don't have to stress about the business. I don't have to stress where the next deal comes from. I don't have to stress that that I don't know what I'm paying myself, because it's right here. I open up my banks, I open up my little app here on my phone, and there they are here, just in black and white. This is what I have in these accounts, and it helps me see exactly where I am. So that's why no matter where you are, gain that momentum. Even if it's just one bank account, setting it up, transferring 1%, start with where you can, get in that habit, and you'll be a lot more profitable because of it.
Awesome. Do you have any recommended banks that are maybe like a national chain that you would recommend, or is that not even in a
I would say a lot of people, it's usually the smaller banks and the credit unions in their local towns is where you can get the most flexibility. But I will say some of our people are on some of these bigger systems like Chase or whatnot, and they're able to open accounts right from online and able to do some of this stuff where it's like makes it pretty easy to start implementing Profit First. So if you have a bank that can let you open up, accounts from right online, or if there's like Charles Schwab, some of these ones that are completely virtual as well too. So it really depends on if you already have a relationship with a banker in your local area, or like I said, we do have some people with Chase that are doing very well, able to transfer, give the permissions to like their CFO or to their CPA or their bookkeeper of like transferring the money or not, or just being able to see what's in there. So that's another thing too, is you want to make sure you at least go with a bank. I'll tell you what to stay away from. Stay away from a bank that charges you fees for every single account. See if you can get all fees waived. This is the point of the system, is not to be paying a bunch of fees. It's to automate your finances and to be able to have more profitability. Stay away from fees and stay away from like, oh, there's a cap on this many accounts that you can open or whatnot. Because like I started going down this road. Now I have like 11 accounts open, like for different areas of my business, because it's not just those core accounts. There's other things I want to save for, or other things like here's an employee bonus account, like to bonus the team, because that's one of the highest returns I think you could have in your business, is keeping that culture and morale up inside your business. So there's other things too. So those are just a couple things to keep in mind when you're searching for a bank, usually, and make sure that they've got a good online system. So that way you can see your money and still have that, flexibility to know where your money is.
One quick personal perception kind of note for you guys is that David's theory and mindset for Profit First for real estate investing is more so richest man in Babylon than kind of the mindset of not getting a $4 Starbucks every day for 20 years, which is more of like a Dave Ramsey / millionaire next door type thing. It's like, you're not going to, as much as it logically makes sense, and I get that. And an interesting stat is that Starbucks lifetime value for a customer is $8,000. Wow. So and it's the lowest ticket sale. I mean, it's anywhere from $2 to, $7, depending on what you get, but their average customer throughout their lifetime is going to spend $8,000 there. So I get that you could save $8,000 over the course of your life on average if you make coffee at home versus that, but you're not going to get wealthy, not get freedom from that. So do not be, and Dave Ramsey's really good for people that have debt. I know some people, even close to me in my family that took out huge amount of loans for like pharmacy school and stuff like that. So that's good to get out of debt, but that is not an abundant way to think about generating financial freedom, which David's mindset and theory 100% is. I just want to throw in my own personal perspective on that point.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because this is all about getting you to be more profitable. That whole profit account, we didn't even really dive into that every single quarter we tell our owners to do one of two things. If you've got debt that's weighing you down and you're stressed out about, take up to 99% of that account and start wiping down that debt. If you don't have a bunch of that debt, then take up to 50% out for whatever the heck you want. You want Starbucks, you want to buy a Starbucks, whatever you want from that account. So this is, I really don't like the scarcity mentality of that. Like a lot of this is preached from some of those places like Dave Ramsey or like from Dave Bach or, the millionaire next door. I like a lot of the core concepts. Don't get in over your head. Don't do those things. But some of those things are like, well, you're telling me on one side, like that I need to have a good financial mindset, but on the other side, a lot of it is scarcity mindset.
Mhm.
Profit first is about making sure that you are healthy as a business owner, getting you to be able to spend the money on what you want to spend the money on, but you have a set amount, and here's how we manage it. And here's how you make sure that you can grow from this amount, that you're profitable, that you can secure private funding, because investors and lenders love to see, cash in your accounts. Private institutions or private lenders or hard money. So this is a way for you to be able to not have to skimp out on coffee, not be able to do those things. This is a
Mhm.
way for you to be able to know it's okay for me to do that. Because that's the other thing too. We hear all that stuff, Carlos, and then we feel bad. It creates guilt anytime we go out and want to do something for ourselves. This system helps people get over that guilt to say, I have my
Mhm.
money in this account for whatever the heck I want to spend it on, and it's not hurting my business. So that's where we've seen a lot of people, those clients, like they're able to take like 2 week vacations, month-long vacations, and do what they want with their family from the profit account. And it doesn't touch their compensation, what they pay themselves on a regular basis. And it doesn't touch what it takes to run the business. They're on this guilt-free vacation that they'd usually be worried like, man, I hope this wasn't going to hurt the company. I hope I'm being fiscally responsible. This takes that burden off their shoulders of like, oh, shoot, I wonder if I can get this cup of coffee today. Well, if you've got it in this account, guess what? You're good to go. No worry, no guilt. Move on with your day. Stop thinking about that and start thinking of the higher dollar things that you can be thinking about.
100%. Keep your mental energy and creativity as high as possible.
Oh,
Like for
yeah.
most people listening to this, it's not going to be around this. So when you have these are almost like guideposts. When you have the bank accounts set up, whether you're working with a fractional CFO on David's team or not, but it's like
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's so much clarity and creativity and energy that you can use on other important things to give to your team, to your family, whoever it
Exactly.
is. Whatever it is.
Yep.
Well, what's the best place? I have simplecfobook.com for the book. Guys, I cannot tell you how many top investors across the country, if you guys are part of any masterminds, they'll all know who David is. I would say at minimum, get the book to expand on this episode and see what you have going on. And then what's the best place to reach out for Simple CFO solutions?
It's simplecfosolutions.com. So
Awesome.
make it real easy there. You can find the Profit First REI podcast if you want. I started that podcast for encouragement. Like, listen to other people. This doesn't consume them. They set this up and then they have a system and it helps them, manage that money. So that's a place of encouragement. Hear other people's stories, hear what they're doing. You're going to get some good info there, like if you want that encouragement and guiding on Profit First. So we have the podcast there. And also, like Carlos said, simplecfobook.com if you want to pre-order the book or order it, depending on when this podcast, when you're listening to it. And also, if you go to Simple CFO Book, you can get multiple copies for a discounted rate too from that place and from that source, and we made it a little cheaper than on Amazon. So would love to help you on your journey and would love to, provide that value. And simplecfosolutions.com if you would like to work with us.
Appreciate that. Yeah, sounds like a good holiday gift there. Simplecfobook.com to check out, get multiple, get it for a business owner, real estate investor that you know. And that's a good point just to brush on as well, guys, really quick, that this isn't like an ongoing, it's ongoing, but it's not necessarily like a huge time consuming thing. It's like,
Right.
Like many things, it's like a jet taking off or a plane taking off. In the beginning, it's going to take a lot of energy until it's able just to cruise a little bit and, check altitude and different things like that. So very similar with this setup from what David's laying out. And what's the best place to reach out to you? Just online there? Any social media?
Yeah. If you go to simplecfosolutions.com, I've got my Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn linked right on there at the top of the page. So you can connect with me there. We've got a Profit First for real estate investing group, Facebook group. It's a private group. So just mention, hey, I was on with Carlos, and then we'll let you into that group. So you can drop Carlos's name there and we'll make sure to get you in because we post tools, links, that type of stuff. And this is not a spammy group with people posting all the time. It's just questions, comments, like how Profit First is going. So I just wanted to, create that group for the real estate investing community.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I'll put that in the notes. And guys, hey, even if the action from listening to this podcast, opening a new bank account, if that's like too much from you, join the Facebook group and you'll be able to connect with other investors that are, relatively in have the same interest in what you're looking to get set up with all the different bank accounts and the profit first mindset. So Awesome episode, man. And I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon. Best of luck with the book launch. I know I'll be getting a copy for myself as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlos.
Awesome. My pleasure, man.